2022 quarterback class is a pretty mixed bag in terms of who will be that first person selected. Here at the Senior Bowl, we have the opportunity to look at a bunch of guys that are in contention to be first-round picks in this year's NFL draft. The only one that we are missing is Matt Corral. There's going to be a lot of discussion on who looks the best this week. And after day one, we're going to take a look separately just at this quarterback group. Ryan, first one, not surprising, you went with Carson Strong. And I think the one reason why a lot of people are talking very highly on Strong is because of what he showed in his arm strength. Is that the reason why you went with Strong here?
Yeah, no, it's a combination of arm strength. I feel like he got better throughout the day as the chemistry started improving. He was mostly on time, showed a great deep ball. And then also not having the knee brace on, I think, is a big step for him because that's been kind of a big question mark. So I think that he just kind of checked a lot of boxes. And when you compare the arm strengths comparative to Kenny Pickett and Desmond Ritter that were a part of his group, I think that that's really the big takeaway was just how live his arm was.
A lot of people were surprised by how good Sam Howell looked compared to some of these other players. And Howell has been a bit of a faller throughout the season, but being out there on the field in Mobile, he is really improving his draft stock, and he has already surprising some people. Is that your thoughts on what you had him on too?
Yeah, I think that sequencing for him is a little off at times. I think he could be late at times just based upon his upper body and lower body getting a little disjointed. For the most part, very accurate. And I think the one thing that really took people off guard was the fact that his arm is a lot more live than maybe people kind of understand or people expected. So ball came out nice, ball came out accurately, and there was more live to Sam Howell's arm than people expected, I thought.
It's very interesting that you went with Kenny Pickett at 3, and I think that's the perfect way to describe him because out of the group, he looked not the most average, but the most consistent. He didn't really have any shocking big plays, any wow plays, or that many of them, but he also didn't make any egregious mistakes that some of these bottom tier guys did. So what were your thoughts on Kenny Pickett?
It was just a very linear approach, right? Like there weren't like a bunch of peaks and valleys to what Kenny Pickett showed. Like there wasn't a bunch of highs. It wasn't a bunch of lows. He was just solid and steady all the way through. I feel like you didn't see any high moments that are going to get you super excited, but you also didn't see lows that are going to, make you kind of jump off the cliff a little bit with a guy like Pickett. So I feel like he just steadied his draft stock, but I don't think that there were a lot of chances taken, just a lot of solidness to what we saw from Pickett.
And that's what has helped Pickett turn himself into a possible first rounder is that solid steadiness that he has had in his final year at Pitt. Now, Malik Willis, you hear a lot about him after this first day where it was like, wow, he made a really good throw. And then later on, it's like, why did he force that? He had to have been the most volatile prospect so far that he could really benefit from some of those big plays. But at the same time, some head scratchers might hurt him.
Yeah, no, it matched his film perfectly. And I think Joe Marino from the Draft Network, which I know that you've had an opportunity to meet down there, kind of put it in perfect terms. The 5 best throws a day were probably from Malik Willis. The 5 worst throws were probably from Malik Willis. The accuracy was all over the place, but you again see the tantalizing combination of arm strength, arm talent, and athleticism. It's all there, but still it's just so inconsistent. It's hard to buy into. I think I'm buying into it a little bit, but it's just such a peaks and valley volatile stage right now for Malik Willis. He's going to be in the right system. I think he could be very successful, but it's really going to depend a lot on situation for a guy like Willis.
And number 5 for you is somebody who people are trying to push as a potential first rounder, Desmond Ritter from Cincinnati. And the one immediate takeaway from getting to see him in person was that I thought that he did not look the part. And a lot of issues from him, just does not have those tools that a guy like Kenny Pickett or Carson Strong had who were in the group that he was competing with essentially. But what were your thoughts on getting to watch that tape on Ritter?
Well, I mean, first of all, he is very skinny, right? Like he weighed in at 207 pounds. I was expecting him to put a little more weight on to start out the week. But then I think that working against guys like Carson Strong, side by side, I think really kind of dispels this misnomer that Desmond Ritter has this huge arm. I think he has a good arm. Like it's a good NFL caliber arm, but I don't think his arm's quite as big as people act like it is. He's a good athlete, but the accuracy is just all over the place. Timing is all over the place. I felt like I honestly, I just did not think that there was many accurate balls on the day. I think that he really struggled with timing, just a lot of not great from Desmond Ritter. And I think that again, working against Carson Strong kind of dispelled the idea that he has this huge arm and this huge upside from a passing perspective.
Lastly, at number 6, the record holder Bailey Zappe from Western Kentucky, who It has gotten weird amounts of hype throughout this process so far, but similar to Ritter, out there on the field against some really, really good traitsy quarterbacks, some guys that really, really flashed, you started to come down to earth and seeing, okay, those records are nice, but this isn't really a starting quarterback. He doesn't have the arm. He doesn't have a lot of tools that you want in somebody who could be a projected starter, maybe a little bit better off as a career backup.
Well, the biggest thing is for a guy like this that does not have great tools, he needs to be accurate and he needs to make on time and solid decisions. There were a lot of troubling decisions during the first day of practice, which again is to be understood and it's to be expected for a guy in the first day. So I'm not going to harp on that too much, but I think just seeing the difference in tools and arm strength to guys like Malik Willis and Sam Howell in that group, I think it was just very obvious that Zappy is just not a physically gifted guy. And unfortunately for him, he's just kind of been thrown into a group that I think there's just a couple of very live arms and you kind of really get to see him tested side by side against a couple of those guys. So he just is not on par in that sense. I think he's a day 3 kid at best. I think that some people are going to try to push him up, but I think that you just kind of saw the difference in talent level on day 1.
Folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our remaining Senior Bowl coverage here at Mobile and